Hey everybody, I'm Eerie Diamond, your host for another terrible podcast by comics. I'm so excited we have all women guests on the show today, and woo! Hold on a second. I like to have you guys introduce yourselves because you're better at it than I am. Orchid, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Orchid Cameron. I'm a stand-up comic and a comedy producer, as well as a yoga teacher and mom of two.
Ooh,
based in Los Angeles.
Two. How old are your kids?
20 and 5.
Okay, what the fuck?
Oh.
Oh, you haven't heard this joke? So I got married when I was 20, had a baby, and got divorced. And then I got married when I was 30, had a baby, and got divorced. And now I'm 40, and I'm not a fucking quitter. If anything, I'm an overachiever.
Okay, so married again, don't have a kid because clearly something happens.
You want me to quit, Eerie? I hear
There's
you.
a hardcore pattern happening right there. So it would be
yeah, actually, my ex-boyfriend was like, Orchid, stop getting married. You're terrible at it.
No, I think you could get married, but don't have a kid. I would say get married, have a puppy, and then just get separated or something. Or just, counseling, maybe? I don't know. I'm just trying to help. I don't know. I'm not good at this. I have no kids and I have never been divorced, but it's okay. Rachel, please introduce yourself, love.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Deneen. You have the best laugh. I remember your laugh so good.
Oh, thank you.
I'm Rachel Dee. I am a stand-up comedian based in LA. I am doing some acting and some emceeing, and I Zoom teach junior high on the side. Woo! And on top of that, I have a 17-year-old. All right.
Woo!
Wow. Also divorced, right?
Also divorced, yeah. Well, I mean, technically not. We're waiting till he's 18 because it'll be cheaper at...
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I get that. I hear you. Teaching. So junior high fucking was terrible. Anybody have a good junior high experience?
If you did, you peaked in 7th grade. So.
Oh my God. Actually, my junior high experience was worse than my high school. Yeah, it was a little bit worse than my high school experience sucked too. But what are you gonna do? Hey, guess what? I grew up and got way better friends and became like so much better. Anyways,
I thought you were gonna say you grew up and got way better tits, but that was me projecting that.
But here's the thing. I gained 20 pounds and then I was like, cool, they're so awesome. But then I was like, the rest of me, not as cute. I don't understand why you can't just weight where you want to, where you're just like, all right, let's eat a burrito and just have it go to my ass. Like that would be dope, right? That would be.
Mm-hmm. I have a friend where that actually happens and I hate her, but she's.
I hate it.
I know.
I overeat. It goes to my boobs and my butt. Ew. Fuck you. I'm so sorry. That is my inner. That was actually me telling my sister to fuck off because she has the tiniest, little, thinnest, little flat tummy. 2 kids. Fuck you. And giant boobs. Like it's just irritating as fuck. She's like, oh, I gained weight and I've got to keep getting bigger bras. I'm like, and anyway, I'm so sorry. I love my sister though. I'm so sorry. Amy, please tell us a little bit about yourself, love. I'm so sorry I went off on a tangent.
That's okay. I'm Amy Palukowitz. I go by Amy P for comedy. I am in Los Angeles as well. I also do some acting. I do some writing. My day job is I am a copywriter for a corporate real estate firm. And I am going to sign with a literary agent this week because I wrote a book over quarantine because I needed to use my time wisely. And I think I have the same tits that I had in junior high, but so
I didn't know that was going to be part of the format, but hey, I'm going to write in tits right here. So any marriage, any kids, any of that kind of stuff? Because
I'm married. I have no kids, but I have a whole house full of animals. I've got 6 cats and a dog here,
Oh,
so
shit.
my hands are full.
That is a menagerie. What happened? Did they? How did you end up with that many? Don't go to the SPCA unless you seriously have a dog.
My husband brings them home, first of all. And the rule is that if they can get in the door, I am never, like, I won't let them leave. I'm incapable. I've tried fostering. I've failed the foster thing. I was like, oh, I'll give back and I'll foster too. And then I fell in love and I cried when they were supposed to be adopted out. And they stayed. I'm terrible at it. Yeah, and my husband works up in Pacoima, and there are a lot of strays up there that have kittens. So he's brought home 2 kittens that have just stayed. Again, tried to foster, failed, and now here we are.
But no kids. No offense,
no
guys.
kids. I have 3 nephews, so that's enough for me. I go visit them.
I
And
have
get
6
my
nephews.
fill. Okay.
I'm all about the nieces and nephews. Those are my kids. It's awesome. It's like having a nanny I don't have to pay for. Like, it's just like I get to fucking hang out with them, and they're like, "You're the best." I'm like, "I know I am." And then I'm like, "Well, here you go. He seems to be wet." And then like,
so auntie energy is so great because it's like shaking up a soda and handing it back to the mom.
oh my god,
Amazing.
perfect analogy. Holy. Perfect analogy. That was amazing. Comedy where you are. That's our next topic. Orchid, like, tell us a little bit about the comedy scene out there in La.
So with comedy, I've actually been doing stand-up for 18 years. So I was basically meandering for 15 years. And then I had some life or death stuff happen, and then I got like really serious about comedy for the last couple years, 2-3 years. And I am at the point in my career where I make money doing stand-up, but I'm not at the point where I could quit my day job. So I'm kind of like, I'm in a good place. So like, for only being like so serious, like going daily stuff for 2 years is pretty good. 2-3 years is pretty good to already be not just, I mean, most people lose money for 10 years, right? Before they start making money.
So tell me this, like, what do you consider like I got serious? Like, what does that mean to you?
Well, I had a boyfriend who threatened to kill me, and I was on the constant, I was waiting for him to beat me to death in front of my yoga class because that's basically what he said he would do. So I was so like, it's almost worse than like, no, I can't say. It's like any type of like, you have 1 month to live type situation where people are like, oh, I guess I'll learn the violin then. You know, like, so it was like every single day I was looking over my shoulder for when I was going to get murdered. And that's an intense, like, soul searching time. And so I just started going to open mics every day. And it was like crazy because I made friends right away with people that like, what's great about comedy is you hear people's deepest, darkest secrets up front. So it's actually easy to know to be like, I don't want to talk to that guy, or this is my new best friend, right? Like, it's easy to, so I made really close friends right away. And I would be shaking before and after the mic, I'd be crying because I was still actively afraid of being killed. So like, and I just pushed through anyway. And so I'm just like, I could die at any minute. I'm going to just keep doing, sorry, this sounds so dark, but I got very serious about comedy. And I also just naturally am a very competitive person. So I'm very competitive with myself of like, why didn't the audience get that joke? Or how can I present myself better? And so because I'm so kind of hard on myself, I've progressed really fast in the last couple of years.
Wow. Okay,
I didn't mean to break your heart, Eerie.
No, you're not. Well, you didn't. But what was actually the first thing that jumped out to me is the fact that you said, like, I was looking over my shoulder, like I could be murdered at any time. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, you're laughing. That's so crazy to me.
Why am I laughing? Well, it's kind of
You
like the
didn't
way
die?
I have
Is
dealt.
that
Like, it's the way I've dealt with the trauma. Like, I could either
got
lay
it?
down in a ball and just die, or I can keep moving forward. Like, I'm not going to let this stop me. I'm not going to let this stop me, because then the perpetrator wins, right?
Right, absolutely.
I could just, I mean, I still have pretty bad PTSD, but I just do my best to keep moving forward. And so it's been, so yeah, I laugh at it, but it's either laugh or cry. You know, you're either like an existentialist, like life has no meaning, let's cry about it, or you're an absurdist, life has no meaning, let's laugh about it. So I'm just like, yeah, I could. Like, the crazy thing is I had this afraid of a specific twice my weight man who threatened to kill me. I was specifically afraid of this being pummeled to death. And so when COVID happened and everything got locked down, I'm like, it'd be so much easier to die with like a ventilator. I was like, I'm not afraid of COVID. I might get beaten to death. So it's almost given me kind of a fearlessness. I mean, I'm still full of fear, but I'm like, you know what? I just have to put that next to me. It's not in my body. It's just like a backpack I carry. And so when it's almost like helped me push through some things, like I actually have very, very bad stage fright, and it only gets worse as time goes on, because there's an expectation now. Like, you know, when people are paying me money to do stand-up, there's a higher expectation. So like my stage fright is actually like, I need a full hour before going on stage to just be like, nobody talk to me. I'm going to just be cranky. Don't talk to me. And so because of the high level of stage fright, it's like, I either do stand up or I die. It's kind of been my like philosophy. I do stand up or I crawl in a ball and die. And so it's kind of helped me like leap over the stage fright. Like, stage fright, no big deal. People laughing at me in a room or not laughing at me in a room, no big deal. That's like an easy hurdle. So
it's like you were in an airplane accident and you're the one who survived and you got that weird thing that's happening. It's
the survivor guilt.
There's the euphoria. I saw a whole movie, I thought it was crazy, where it was like you survived and you're like, I can do anything, you cannot kill me. Like, I
little bit feel like that. Mostly I feel like the sands of time are moving quickly. Like, I don't feel like I have time to waste not going and performing. I don't have time. I don't have time to not live my dreams. My time is now. I'm like my own Make-A-Wish.
I totally hear you because I'm old, but Rachel. No, I am. And
I mean, almost everything is resonating for me too. So much so. Like it's so strange to me. I was thinking about this, like what my anxiety and stage fright has only increased now that there's expectation and pressure and people are paying me and people bought tickets, and it's like now I'm a total bitch an hour. Like now I'm a bitch. Like, but like, and it's so weird because everybody that hung out with me, I guess, years ago, was like, she's so nice. You're so nice. I was like, not anymore. I'm a fucking cunt. So that is so true, and I do need like at least an hour of just nobody talk to me. So that resonated, and it's what gets me on the stage is that same thing. It's like, what the fuck you gonna do, bitch? Like, if I'm not gonna like, what are you gonna do? I would kill myself. So okay, go on the stage, you know.
So Rachel, it almost sounds like we both have toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Like trash talking yourself.
Yes.
You're like, you ain't got nothing to live, bitch.
Yeah, what the fuck, you bitch? Yeah.
I somebody asked me one time, because I'm friends with like people who did I'm good friends with actors from Beach Blanket Babylon. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it was a stage show and they're actors and they were like, stand up. Fuck that. We'd never do that. I'm like, you guys go on stage every night. They're like, totally different. I'm I'm like, okay. And they were like, what's that like? And I said, it's like being on a skateboard at the top of a really steep hill and somebody just goes punk and just like you're all, ah! Like, you know, and you can't even jump off. You're just like, I'll break my leg. All right, we're doing this. We're doing this. You know,
and sometimes people throw shit at you while you're
knocks over your wheels, and you're just like, no. Yes, and yes, I totally agree with you. And you're absolutely right. The stage fright, and it's funny because the times I've been calm going on stage, I fucking bomb. But the times I was terrified, completely terrified, I just fucking used all of that to just move, like, you know what I mean? And it ended up getting off there like, what just happened? That was good, right? I heard, like, you know. Anyways,
yeah, and you don't remember the best ones are when you don't remember what happened.
100%.
I tape every set. I tape every set because I don't know if people laughed until I listen to it later.
Exactly.
Like if I feel like I bomb, I listen to the tape and I'm like, oh wait, I killed.
Yeah.
That's happened to me too. You know what's so sad? I sometimes I don't tape it because I'm like, this is gonna fucking suck. And then I'm like, God damn it. Like, why? Anyways, Amy, tell me about your take on comedy where you are.
So I am in a little different boat than Orchid and Rachel, I think, because I've only been doing this for a couple of years and I come from the stage side. Like I was a stage actor. I did national tours, like 2 years.
Oh shit. Guys, remember 2 years? Let's go back.
So like when the whole pandemic hit and everything went to Zoom, I was like, I think I'm just going to stop doing this because I had only done it a couple times. I took some classes. I liked it. I really liked it. And then a friend of mine named Henry Garcia, who is just like the sweetest guy, Orchid knows him, started like dragging me to open Zoom mics and being like, you have to do this. You can't stop. You're not allowed to quit. And I was like, all right. And Zoom was the best thing for me, like during the pandemic, because I have really bad social anxiety. So like going to comedy clubs to open mics really instills this weird fear and anxiety, and I sweat and I'm like, oh my God, I have to see people in person. This is terrible. But like over Zoom, I'm fine. It doesn't faze me.
Amy, you have social anxiety and you're a stand-up comedian. You know those two things are juxtaposed. That is not
I know.
Like,
but I don't have stage fright.
She's being a little modest. I've seen her do stand-up live. She's great.
And I don't have stage fright. That's the thing, is it doesn't translate. Once I'm on the stage, I'm good.
Got it. That makes sense. No, yeah. I'm like that too. Like it was, you know, I mean, I think we all started. By the way, my favorite quote is from me, which is people have asked me. It's just whatever. I also have a Nelson Mandela quote I like too, but mine is people have asked me what's the easiest thing about stand-up, and I said quitting. So it's, you know, you just know if you never go back, that's like cool. Now I'm not doing that anymore. Like just it's not, there's no more heartbreak, but there's no more like elation. So I don't know. I can't figure it out. But that is, so you were mostly like a stage, doing movies, doing acting, doing what? Like what?
Yeah, stage, like I did a national tour of this thing called Girls Night the Musical, where I was an angel in white denim that was like the MC of the show, and we took that all over the place. And I've done a bunch of Shakespeare, and I think Orchid's seen me do a Zoom show of The Seagull, which is like Russian. Wow, you know, it's really.
Yeah. She's great.
So that's my.
Oh no,
that was where I came from. So it's a totally different.
I was only reacting to The Seagull, which is that's all I was reacting to.
Amy,
and also white denim. I actually had a visceral reaction to white denim because I think it's the most disgusting thing ever. But so how long have you been acting?
Oh, since I was 15.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I loved stage acting. I still love it. It's there just wasn't as much of it in LA when I came in 2013. I just wasn't finding as much of it as I did in Cleveland. Ironically enough, there's a lot of theaters there. And it so I started doing different things in Los Angeles. And then a couple of years ago, when I decided to try stand up for the first time, I really loved it. I really did enjoy, using my own voice and using my own trauma to make people laugh. So yeah, that's what kind of drew me to the medium, I guess.
Yeah, it's weird though. It's weird because
Yeah.
it's. I think that the weirdest thing is you're not. Well, you guys, you're all stand-up comedians. You know this. It's your writing, your ideas, your performance, and fucking immediately whether or not it's working. And it's like it's just what you guys said. It's like when you bomb, you get off the stage, you're like, oh, what happened? Like you start replaying it. You're like, what did I do? Where was it where I lost them? And then, but when you do great, it's like you get off the stage and you're just like, I am a god. I remember my first time I did a Cobb's show, and it was like I fucking killed. And I got off the stage. I'm like, I'm getting a fucking manager. That's special. Fuck you, fucker, and open micers. Fuck you. And then like 2 days later, I fucking bombed at an open mic. I'm like, who bombs at an open mic? What the hell?
Everybody.
Everyone, yeah.
So Eerie,
like it was just.
Eerie, I have a totally different makeup than you. When I bomb, I'm like, let's do it again. I'll go to 2 more open mics that night because I'm like, get back up. I'm like, I'm not gonna let this stuff beat me, when I do well, sometimes when I do well, I just like resent the audience for laughing at my jokes.
Problems.
Yeah, like Rachel, the show we were in together, like all my jokes hit, all my jokes killed, and like I was just like, fuckers laughing at my joke.
What's wrong with you?
I don't know, but when you say the easiest thing about comedy is quitting, I feel the opposite. I wish I could quit comedy, but I'm strangely sickly obsessed.
And I hear that. You have this kind of like I get that too, where I'm like, wow, I'm doing great. And then you're like, personal best, gotta do better. Like,
yeah.
And I get that. And I actually, I go online and I see other people getting more shows than me. And I'm like, fuck you, bitch. And I'm like, they're my friend. They're my friend. I shouldn't be doing that. You know what I mean? I'm like.
But Eerie, just like I said a second ago, just ask.
I know.
Like, I didn't even know you wanted to be booked in LA. I didn't even know that, and I produce shows, so
I know, and I don't ask, and I
don't ask, don't get.
The thing that happened was like I was. You know what happened? Like you're working, and then when the pandemic hit, I was almost relieved a little bit. I was doing 2 shows. Every week producing myself and then also doing other shows. And I was almost relieved, like, I just take a break. Yay. And then now I'm like, bitch, you got to get back in there. You know what I mean? Like, and so the shows I've been doing, I don't know if you guys are had the same thing where it was like, no, I got to get back in there. And now it's like, okay, no, I really got to get back in there. Like, I got to start doing more open mics. I got to start doing, you know what I mean? And it's just like really fucking hustling. And, I've just been having a hard time getting there. I don't know. Have you had that problem at all, Orchid, or no? Probably not.
So for me, during the pandemic, I actually did, when things weren't locked down yet, the start of the pandemic in LA, pre-lockdown, I did an Instagram show. So I set up my living room to be like a club. And I started the week before lockdown. And so the very first week of lockdown, I started my Zoom open mic on Sunday. And so my Zoom open mic has gone the whole pandemic every single Sunday. And my mic is 2 hours. And so I put a lot of work into it. And over the, year and a half, I made a lot of connections. People book me in their shows. I go to other people's Zoom mics. If anything, I got like more busy in the pandemic. And then I'm pretty good about I was pretty good about like isolating and wearing masks. The only time I would kind of, fudge the rules is to go to illegal backyard mics. That's what. So I was still doing live comedy the whole pandemic.
Oh,
So
wow.
I know that's very naughty of me, but like I said, I kind of live to do comedy. It's my thing. I feel like, why should I survive this pandemic if I don't get to do comedy? You know what I mean? Like, I need to do it, it's the I wish I could quit you thing.
I just kept going to states where there wasn't any COVID.
Oh my God.
Like Florida?
Yeah. Phoenix was open, guys.
All right. Okay. Well, so tell me a little bit about things are opening up again. Like, I know you're very busy. How was the pandemic for you? This is not on our agenda, but I want to talk about that. How was it? How's it going now? Like, coming out of it? Like, are you weird about it? I guess not. You just
are you asking Amy? I think Amy's the only one who didn't answer the pandemic question.
Well, okay, Amy. I was delving a little bit more, but let me know. Amy, what's up?
Sure. So, I'm booked in 4 shows coming up in August. And I burned out at the end of last year, to be frank. I was doing 2 Zoom shows a day, 7 days a week, for like 6 months. Like, my husband set up, I've got this like curtain above me that you can't see, but it's set up with like PVC pipes. Like, I have an in-home studio now. And by the time New Year's rolled around, I wanted to jump out a window, but I had so much material. I've got like 80 pages of jokes from that.
Jesus.
So, yeah, it's nice that things are opening up and like I'm kind of getting booked slowly on stuff. I have a hard time, like Orchid was saying, just ask. I have a hard time asking. I sit back and wait for people to ask me to do shows, which is probably not helping me at all, but I don't know. I feel like really forward when I'm like, put me on your show. So
can I say something about that real quick?
Sure.
Can I add to that? Okay, so when she's talking about, I guess I just need to ask. So for me as a producer, I'm still kind of new as producer, right? And so I have my own producer stage fright. And so when comics come to the shows I'm producing, just to be like, I gotcha, I'm here for you, I'm supporting you, that feels so good to me.
Yeah.
And so if somebody is a good comic and they're also a good person and care about me personally, it's so much easier to book them. Like, so a person who shows up for me and like will listen to me vent or whatever like that, and they happen to be a good comic, if they're just like, hey, Orchid, will you book me? I'll be like, yeah, absolutely, yes. And so what I'm saying is kind of step into the producer's shoes. Like, what are they short on? Do they need someone to DJ? Do they need someone to do makeup or hair, whatever, like what are the other things they worry about? Or say you're willing to help sell tickets. Like, those are the things I think that I look for in people I'm booking. And so I don't know, I just try to step into people's shoes about it.
Yeah.
I offer to host. I always say I love to host. I will totally host. So
that's smart.
Another way that you can ingratiate yourself to producers, because a lot of comics don't like hosting.
Well, that's because they go on first. That's honestly,
and second and third and fourth and fifth and last.
Sucked, and I know you guys have all done this. If someone sucked, you're like, hey, everybody, let's forget about that terrible joke that bombed. I'm sorry they mentioned it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just terrible. Like, so yeah.
So I actually
shows I've had where it's like someone has said something offensive and you get up there like you know you're gonna
Oh my gosh, I love hosting so much. I love hosting, but I don't skirt around the issue if somebody's offensive. I actually go straight on at the person. If somebody's really offensive, I go straight at their leave places. I was co-hosting with Kevin Wong. Do you guys know Kevin Wong?
Yep.
So this is so terrible. One of the comics said straight off the back, he's like, I'm in Vietnam for my sexcation. I mean vacation. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So right away he's referring to Asian people as sex slaves, right? Oopsie. And then he started talking about his girlfriend trying to eat dogs, blah, blah, blah. And his whole was all this anti-Asian stuff. And then right when he ended, I had just taken over as host. Kevin did the first half, I did the second. And I was like, hey, so Kevin won't say this, but fuck you. I'm like, you're talking about eating dogs, you're talking about sexcation. This is 2021. You know, get a freaking clue. I'm like, yeah, and it's kind of, I feel like as a white appearing person, it's like, it's our job to stand up for the non-white appearing people, like to just be like, no, you cannot say this. Like I heard someone say the word chink. I do not like the word chink. I will heckle them from the audience. Nice. I'm like, don't you dare say that word. I'm just heckling for justice. Like I'm not quiet about it.
You need
and if people
t-shirts.
I know, I need a bumper sticker. Heckling for justice.
If people make rape jokes, I just start yelling. Rape is so funny. Rape is so fun. And I'm just like, or I'll do it if I'm host. I'll rip into them as a host because I have a pretty sharp tongue and I feel like I use it for justice.
Dude, heckling for justice is amazing. That's your first album name, right? That's name. Heckling for justice. That's fucking brilliant. Oh my god. That's okay. I'm sorry, that was so good, Orchid. Okay, so the next thing, this is gonna get interesting.
About being a woman in comedy is on the list.
Fun things. How about that being a woman in comedy, Rachel? How about that?
Oh, goody. There's so much. Okay. The things I struggle with are being constantly told by male comics what I should and shouldn't wear on stage.
Oh, yay!
Oh, no, that happens to you?
All the time.
That doesn't happen to me. I'm sorry that happens to you.
Yay! Oh, yay!
Oh, yeah. This right here is a little too much. That's, maybe we should.
Oh, shit, a tank top? Oh, no.
Yeah, no heels. What's another one? But just the idea that men in our industry feel that they can give me any advice, let alone what I should be wearing on stage, is constant and very upsetting. And then the other thing that's really upsetting to me right now is I talk about my age, and I think it's important to talk about, how old you are, and I'm getting it from all sides that I should stop telling people my age. And I'm so sick of it. I think it's very important to talk about my age. I'm going to be 44. And yeah, I look fucking good because I take I put sunscreen on. I don't do a fuck ton of drugs. Look at J-Lo. She looks amazing. She's 80. Okay.
So 51, but yeah, I hear what you're saying.
We don't know how old she is really, but it doesn't.
I do. I Wikipedia'd her the other day because I was pissed off about her abs. I was like, "Fuck you with your abs."
So I'm just like on a tear right now about people telling me what I should and shouldn't wear and what I should and shouldn't talk about. And nobody does that to men. I don't see these conversations happening with men. I don't see bros being like, yo man, I don't know if you should be wearing that baseball cap backwards.
Yeah. Bro, hey, we're all wearing hoodies. You should wear something different.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Actually, they told me I should start wearing a hoodie. How many
Fucking kidding me right
God.
now.
But Rachel, I don't know why that doesn't happen to me, but I think it might be because I have the "I'll cut you" look.
Yeah, like you clearly, are you wearing a Bowie knife on your belt? That's what I want to know. You're clearly wearing a Bowie knife on your belt. Amy, anything? How's it going for you being a woman in comedy? How's that going?
You know, for me, it's the microaggressions that I find really offensive. Like being told, I'm in my 40s too. I had a man tell me when I first started that in Hollywood, respectfully, a woman's career is over at 40. And I was like, that's a really gross thing to say to me when you know that I'm 40.
I love you, Orchid, because you're just
respectfully.
That's what I do.
I have men. I had a man send me notes after meeting me one time and seeing me do comedy once, and he was a beginner, and I was like, "Why the fuck do you think you get to send me notes? You would not do that to a dude. Like, there's no way you would do that." And just like little stuff like that, or men will kind of try to pit women in the industry against each other. And I think that that's really gross as well, because we should all be supporting each other. We should all be lifting each other up, and doing that is detrimental to everyone, I think. So it's just the little things that really piss me off.
Yeah.
Anybody get invited to dinner to discuss producing a show together?
No, but my husband is like 6'5", and everybody knows that, so I think that they leave me alone.
I haven't had someone ask me to dinner about comedy, but I have had people try to mentor me about screenwriting for sure. Like, we're gonna have to sit down a lot and go over your script, and I'm like, oh. So I'm with Amy that we just, you know, as women, like, need to really look out for each other. So like,
yes,
yeah. So one of my examples of that is this guy said some joke that he was saying old English jokes, and he said the old English version of a slut is a woman with expired purity. And this was on Zoom, so I was chat heckling him. Like, I was like, how dare you? How dare you? It's not a woman of expired purity. Like, women's worth isn't based on her virginity. You know, and then I gave him a few other suggestions, and he apologized so thoroughly. Like, he apologized that night, and then he wrote to me on Facebook Messenger, and he's like, Orchid, thank you so much for correcting me, because that could have been really embarrassing for me. And he said, I changed it of a woman of generous sexuality. I'm like, yes!
What? It's still so
thank
strange.
You.
All right, so you want to?
Yeah. So I feel like I kind of rip into male comics if they make women around them feel unsafe. Mm-hmm. So I feel a lot of, like, there's a lot of mics, I'll be the only woman there. Mm-hmm. And so I know if there's even one other woman there, I want her to feel safe. And the way I do it is, whether women are there or not, I ask the men comics, like, hey, I don't think you realize what you just said, but when you take off a condom before you have sex with someone, that's technically sexually assault and a felony. So maybe rethink that joke, or rethink your lifestyle. You know, I get in people's faces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like when I host at the Hollywood and I end up, I feel like it becomes school. for a lot, I just end up in my teacher role, because I remember there was a kid who got up on the stage. I swear he had to have been like maybe 18, and he was like, you know, like how bitches be when I was fucking this chick, and she like bitches be like. He got off the stage. I was like, honey, do you ever use those words like in real life? Do you do that? And he's like, well, no, not really. And I was like, maybe you shouldn't be saying that shit on stage then, huh? Like, how about
That's
you talk
because your
about
mom would turn off your phone, bitch. That's why. Damn it. Okay, so this is mine. I actually had someone. So this is what happened. I headlined a fucking Sally Tomatoes. I don't know if you guys know what that is.
Yeah.
Headlined Sally Tomatoes. Woo! Had the like fucking best set of my life. I still remember it before I'm going to bed. And and I was on the show with this podcast actually. I was on the show with a comedian that has been doing comedy for like a long, like 15 years or something. And he told me that the only reason I got to headline that show was because I was a woman. And that because you know, we're so sought out. And I was like, no, they did it only because, you know, every once in a while they have to have a woman headline, otherwise it looks bad. And I was like, and I'm funny, right? And he's like, well, but mostly there has to be a woman on every show. So, and I'm like, I almost drove to his house and beat the shit out of him. Like I was so mad. I was so mad. And I can't tell you how mad I was. And well, you guys can imagine how mad you were, right? Mm-hmm. He was mad because he goes, I was on the same show and I just opened for you. And I'm like,
there you go.
Well, why'd you fuck yourself? I don't give a fuck. Somebody else produced the show. I didn't produce it and book it and figure out where you were going to be in the show. And yeah. Anyway, point is, that's my experience. That's the shittiness that I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Like, I was only booked because I'm a woman. Are you kidding me right now? Has anybody found that being a woman comedian has been the dopest shit ever? Like, you booked so much more than a man. Like, what? Like, anybody? No? Anybody?
Oh, yeah. I had no, but a white cis man comedian DM'd me last week, and he was complaining about how hard it is to be a white straight man right now in comedy. Because
stupid.
Everybody wants women and people of color, and I can't do my jokes about rape anymore.
What?
Oh. I know. I just told him to quit.
Rachel, they only got 2,000 years. So.
Oh my God, Rachel. Well, you should just quit. Oh my God, I love you. You're the best. Like, you should probably quit.
Also, why are you complaining to me?
Well, because you're a pretty woman, and that's why you get booked.
Oh, poor baby. Why don't you suck on my titty? No.
Yeah, I've actually had other women tell me I'm only getting booked because I'm a pretty white woman, and I'm like, really?
Something else? Yes, I get. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Can I tell a story about producing as a woman?
Yes, please.
So my first show I produced, was the headliner was Lori Kilmartin, and it was all women, and it was for Mother's Day, and it was mother themed. And I mean, I'm divorced with 2 kids, a happily married mom of 2 kids, someone who didn't have kids till their 40s, and a person who is pregnant with her first pregnancy, and another person who chooses not to have kids at all. And I felt like that was really important to represent. Yeah, that some women choose not to have kids, and that's an absolutely valid choice.
Yeah.
And that it's so degrading to treat us like we all have to have kids, because that's degrading both to the women who do and who don't. Because it's like, I'm not just doing it because I have to. I'm doing it because I'm good at it and I want to. And the people who choose not to are not just no one likes, they're not pretty enough or whatever. It's just they choose not to. It's a valid life choice. And so that was my first show. My second show, but I got criticized because they're like, why are there only white people on the show? First of all, I'm Asian and Latina. I'm not only white, but I understand I appear to be white. Well, I didn't enjoy that criticism. The second show I produced, was called Get Off My Lawn, and it was mostly older people, right? And so it was a wide variety of different colored faces and only one woman. But I immediately got criticized, too many dudes. And I'm like,
what?
I'm like, is this what you're doing for the women's movement? That you criticize a woman producer for not casting the right people? I'm like, is that how you're going to progress the world, by just stomping? Anyways, what I'm saying is like, I feel like no matter what I do, I'm going to get criticized.
Yep.
So
Yes,
in some ways,
too.
it's a little bit freeing. Like, okay, I'll just do what I want then. But it's not fun getting criticized.
The second part is, I love the fact that if it's an older person's show called Get Off My Lawn, that's fucking rad. That's so good. Oh, and by the way, Rachel, to your point, I'm 50. 50.
You're 50. Hot. Woo.
Thank you. I'm 50. Yes. Oh my God. Amy, I don't know.
Can I make it about me?
Yeah, Orchid.
Amy hasn't talked enough, so I just want to ask Amy things. Like,
no, Orchid. I had an experience. You're talking about people not wanting kids. I don't have kids because I don't want children. That's just my choice.
Woo! Yay!
And woo! But I had a female comedian, because I have a bit about, like, when I go home, I run into people from high school, these women who are like, oh my God, you'll change your mind. Oh my God, you'll change your mind. And I'm like, now that I'm 42, am I going to change my mind? But I had a female comedian tell me that I should tell those people that I can't have kids. And I was like, no,
you shouldn't.
I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say I choose not to have children. I choose not to bring a carbon bomb into the world. That's just my choice. I'm not to pass on my mental illness. Like, there you go. That's just my choice. I'm not gonna hide it.
As a woman who is a breeder, I feel the need to defend. I feel the need to defend women who intellectually choose not to have kids, because it's a valid choice, and that you don't deserve to be criticized. You shouldn't have to lie that you just don't want kids. Kids are really hard.
I'm like in between you guys, because it's like I had one, but I chose not to raise it. You know, so
and I mean, I would defend the shit out of that choice. Yeah. I'd be like, yes, she made that choice. That's a valid choice.
His dad's way better at
it. I used to be in retail, and people would ask me, like, because I've been married for like a million years. I've been married for like 20 years, 20 something, too many years. And and like a million years. And people were like, oh, how many kids? And I'm like, and like, no kids. Like, and they're like, and then one lady even said to me, I said, no, I don't have any kids. I don't want any kids. And she goes, well, how do you know you don't want kids? And I'm like,
oh, shit.
I'm
rude.
My own.
You're like, a man told
I don't
me.
Understand, like, how do you answer that? I just, and then I had one lady that was like, you know, I used to think that too, and then I thought, I don't want to regret it, so I went ahead and had one. I'm like, and how's that working out for you? Like I don't give a fuck. Like, why do you give a fuck about what I chose? I don't know. I'm just saying, it's the weirdest thing ever. Like, it's so weird to just be like, nah, I just don't think I'm down. And the people who are down, those are the ones who should do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. My sister, all she's ever wanted is fucking kids. And she is like, I'm at work and just watch videos of the kids on my lunch. And I'm like, well, you definitely are a fucking person that should have kids. Like, I'm sorry, I'm saying fuck every 5 minutes. That's so bad. But I'm just saying, like, that's who, like, yeah, or someone who's like, wow, this is dope. Let's do this. I love this. That's who should have kids. Like, I'm sorry. I'm just saying. Anywho,
let's apologize, Eerie.
I'm not. I don't. And honestly, you're absolutely right, Amy. Just so you know, I've actually thought about doing that, just so I don't get that whole bullshit. Like, I know I'm gonna get the wall back of like, meh, you don't understand the love you have, and I'm like, fuck you, I don't care. Like, you know, that whole thing, and I'm like, what if I'm wrong? And then I'm stuck with this thing, and then sorry, I know, like,
right.
person, whatever. But I'm just like, what am I gonna do? Give it to my mom? I'm not 17, you know? It's just, the thing is, it's just, I totally hear what you're saying. I've actually thought about saying, like, just to fuck with them. Well, we tried.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just to fuck with them, just to make them feel terrible about saying that to me in the first place. I don't know. Oh, fun things you've heard audience members say. Oh, this is gonna be so fun. We only have 10 minutes, but let's do this. Orchid, fun things you've heard audience members say. What's your fun is?
I wasn't sure if fun was sarcastic or not, but the
yeah,
answer I prepared is that I love it when people just approach me afterwards and just look relieved. Like I said something that just like touched their heart, and they're like, "Yeah, my boyfriend's a dick too." Oh my God. Like I like same with yoga. When everyone's eyes are glossy after shavasana, I'm like, "Yeah, I just made this whole room come." Like the same thing.
Oh my God, Rachel, fun things you've heard audience members say.
I was thinking, like, there's two. There's like the sweet one was at Sally Tomatoes. There was like a pack of women. I don't know, it was like 15 women that were all 43, and they were so excited that I was talking about being 43.
Woo!
And one of them was like, "Oh my God, I tried to cougar too. It was bad. It was bad." And I was like, "Yeah, it's bad, isn't it?" So that was cute. And then on the flip side of that, I had a woman come up to me because I do this whole tutorial about how to choke and how not to choke. And she was so pissed at me because I also talk about being a feminist. So she was like, "I don't know how you can talk about being a feminist and do that choking joke." And I'm so happy she did it. She said, we had this conversation because I do it on stage now, because I actually said, "Honey, easy. I also like to be choked at work." So.
Nice. Nice. And that's why you are a great comedian. Amy? Things from audience members. I feel like I'm a game show host right now. Like,
you know, there are two things. I have a bit about Alexa and the inevitable AI uprising where the machines kill us. And I miss on Zoom setting off everybody's Alexa because I can't do that in person. It doesn't happen. But at home, I would set off everybody's things. So that was fun. And I also have another bit about my husband mansplaining to me. And I didn't hear this, but he was in the audience and an audience member turned to him and goes, "I know you did that." Which is true. He did. And that's fun for me to hear because like it came from a real place. And I'm like, you're never going to live this down for the rest of your life. And the audience is part in what you did.
I love that. Okay, so for me, there's a couple of things. One of them is I have this whole bit about merkins, which I love merkins. I think they're the fucking dopest thing ever. About actually making a merkin thong that you can wear on your date. And if you know, like you're getting naked with someone and they see your merkin thong and they're like, "Wait, she's got a huge bush." And it's like, "Are you going to leave? Are you going to stay?" Like it's that's how you know if somebody really likes you. And I go into the audience and someone's like, "How'd you know about merkins?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And they're like, "We did. I was in a college version of hair, and we were all naked, and the women all wore merkins." And then I was like, "That is dope," and immediately going into my set. Thank you so much. And thank you. I appreciate that. And I hope my neighbor, by the way, it was my neighbor. I hope he knows that he contributed greatly. On a bad sense, you're absolutely right. When you hear shitty things from audience members, like "such a nice girl talking about dicks," And I'm like, you don't know me, bitch. Like,
no one has dared said that to me, Eerie. Just so you
Yeah.
know.
I love how it's like, I talk about being slutty. I've been married for 25 fucking years. Obviously, I'm not slutty, or well, maybe, who knows? But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's anyway. The point is, okay, we're coming up on the end of the show. I want to talk a little bit about like, I mean, Amy, you haven't done comedy for very long, but Orchid, how things have changed since when you first started. Like, how do you see the scene changing? How do you see things for you changing? Like, what do you, give me your.
So when I first started in 2003, I was such a weirdo. I was just such a weirdo. I was 23. I had a 2-year-old, and I was surrounded by 19-year-old boys who just got to Los Angeles from the Midwest. So I felt like a weirdo, and I think now, 2021, I feel like Zoom was actually like a great equalizer. So people who didn't have time to go to bars every night suddenly could do Zoom. So people with like that are married with kids or whatever their relationship status was, or like Amy was saying, like she was just starting out, and Zoom was a good way to like training wheels, right? And so for me, I've loved the pandemic in that way. I've made like so many awesome friends, and then also I have been the biggest thing that has changed. I feel so different at age 41, so different at age 41 than I did at 23, and so I just I feel, like I was saying, my near death last couple of years, I've just been like laser focused. I have laser focused because of that experience, as well as I just know myself. Like I didn't know myself in my early 20s. I mean, I think all of you feel the same way. Like I know myself so well. I know what I like. I know what I don't like, and I prioritize way better than I did in my 20s. And so that it changes the whole game to know who I am and where I do and don't want to be.
Yeah, I completely understand. I don't think, honestly, I started and stopped comedy when I was like in my late 20s, and then in my mid 30s, and then fucking started in my like mid 40s, and then I kept going. And I think it was just like I was having a good experience, and then I had one bad experience. I'm like, fuck it. Like that was awesome, but but now it's like, to sum it up, I asked Grimes one time, there was this whole thing that I saw where they were like, well, as a comedian, you need to find your voice. And I called him, it was like a work day, and I called him at work and I said, what's my voice? Do you think I have a voice? What's my voice? And he said, you're fucking weird, dude. And I said, cool, thanks, bye. And then like, so there you go. Rachel, how's it going?
How's it going? Oh, well, I think the biggest thing for me is I'm not asking permission anymore. When I was first getting on stage, it was very much like, right? Funny, right? And I'm not fucking doing that anymore, and it's so liberating to just not give a fuck in that way. And thank you. I was also pretending, I don't know if Eerie knows this, I was also pretending to be way younger than I was when I first started comedy in San Francisco. And there was a moment at the strip club. Mike, did you ever go to that? Yeah, it was midnight. It's at the top of a strip club. It's a black box theater. It smells like weed, but it's open and pussy, but it's open mic. And everybody, in like everybody's there, right? And there was just a moment where I was like, you know what? Fuck it all. And I got up on stage and I outed myself. And in front of everybody, and I told them that I was tired. I was tired of pretending because I felt like I was everybody's mom, and I don't even want to raise my own kid. So,
Yeah.
and from that moment, it's just like been moving closer and closer to that.
Hells yeah. I completely know what you're talking about, because when I first started, you know, when you show up at your open mic and you're like, I'm gonna do comedy, and everyone's like fucking 21 dudes, and you're just like, I guess I'm the old chick. I'm like, hi. And I'm trying to make friends, and they're like, fucking, what are you? Who did you bring?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just ridiculous. And then I was trying to be like, no, I'm young. I actually wore hoodies. I don't want to talk about it. I'm really embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed.
And you're younger than I was. Okay, so.
Amy, how's it changed for you? Anything? What you
got? Coming into it late has been interesting because, like you said, there's a lot of young bucks roaming around thinking that like rape and abortion jokes are amazing, and that's not great. I really wish I had started when I was young. I wish I had started when I was in my early 20s, because I think that I've grown so much as a person. Like, I don't think I started becoming funny until I got up on stage and said what my fucking age was and started talking about like all my eggs dying and my family doesn't want to talk to me anymore because I can't produce babies for them. You know, like that's stuff that really is like deep down in your soul, and it didn't come out until I started doing comedy. So like, I wish I had started 20 years ago so that, you know, by now, like who fucking knows what I would be. Yeah. I would probably just be like screaming at random strangers on the street, all my feelings. But personally, I've grown as a human being so much from it, just the whole experience. So, yeah.
Yay. Well,
this has been so inspiring, and I've got like, I just feel so much better about comedy having done this with you guys. I really thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I was excited. I wanted to get first of all the LA scene, which we didn't even talk about the LA scene versus the San Francisco scene, but whatevs. But I wanted to talk to you guys just because I love Orchid. Orchid, she's been on my Match Game show a million times, and I love her. And like, I can't wait to actually meet you, like as a person, like in human form. And Amy was dope when she was on the show. And then Rachel, I know from back before you moved, and I love you, and you're amazing. And I love your lights that beams out of your fucking face every time I see you.
I just want to remind you, I did introduce you to Amy, so I get at least 10% credit for Amy being awesome.
You get absolutely. That was, yes. And and by the way, Deneen, anything you want to say, Deneen? And thank you so much for tipping me, and thank you.
That. No, I love this. I've seen Rachel a few times, and I love these other ladies. I'm a big comedy fan, and I do agree but I think there's a new backlash because I have a lot of women. I like all comedy. I like different points of view because just the same old dudes gets really boring. So I like different ethnicities, different ways of identities. But I always get real excited when women come. And I think a lot of women comedians now are really starting to push more too, which I like, because sometimes they're like, there's not even there's no woman even on this show, it's still a sausage fest.
Yeah. And honestly,
nothing wrong if they're good, but I just say mix it up with everything. Cause I get tired of the same old thing.
I agree, and I'm sorry, I don't want to hear about how broke you are, I don't care. Anyways, thank you guys so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. Amy, thank you so much. We love you.
For having me.
Rachel Dee, thank you so much. Orchid Cameron, thank you so much. You guys, I really appreciate you being on the the show. I really appreciate everything. Please go see these. If you're in LA, please go see these wonderful ladies. I am Eerie Diamond. Thank you so much for being on the show, guys. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Love you.